Hello, hello, it's June Olson with Junebug Creations, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, in the USA. So, sorry I am late today. I have a question for you. Do you ever get stuck on your phone, like sucked into it when you're supposed to be going to bed, and next thing you know, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours later? Yeah, that happened to me last night. Needless to say, it shoved everything around a little bit because then it was hard to get out of bed this morning. Have you been there? Tell me you've been there. Tell me I'm not the only one that this happens to. It doesn't happen to me very often, but it did last night. And the funny thing is I was on YouTube and I watched a scrapbooking video, found it very enlightening, and I learned something new. But then somehow I ended up on videos and reels of haircuts. One gentleman did a haircut for a special needs boy who came in with hair longer than mine and walked out with a cute cut for a little boy. And then there were other ones where the boys came in with this long hair, these little boys, and not special needs, and one of them was just bawling and bawling, and then all of a sudden he had this really cute boy cut. And I don't know, with our son, we always made sure his head was buzzed so that the hair wasn't in his way, because boys get dirty, boys get muddy, and girls do too. I didn't have a girl, so I don't know what I would have done. Most likely she'd have had long hair, but it would have been braided and out of her way and whatnot. But yeah, 1:20, I finally looked at the clock, was like, oh no, I gotta go to bed. So I apologize. I apologize for being late this morning, but there you have the crazy, ridiculous, no excuses story as to why. So it is Paper Pumpkin Playdate. Let's go ahead and jump in because I have 2 cards for you today. We'll see about the time. If it ends up taking too long, then we might have to push one out to next week. So here we go, and I don't have my glass mat here because I am in the middle of the virtual album retreat. Let me show you the virtual album retreat. Oh, nope, that's not the picture. So here's some of the pictures of what we're doing in the virtual album retreat. And so I have my whole counter set up for that, and then popped in my paper pumpkin stuff last night. So it's been super fun, and it's been nice to scrapbook again. I must say that, they are using some techniques and things that I didn't do, but I'm excited to start scrapbooking more. I will show you after the fact what the pages look like. I still need to get my pictures developed and chosen, but I've decided to do last year's virtual album retreat, this year's virtual album retreat, all in the same album for 2026. I've never done a year's album. I've always done themed albums. So this year's themed album is this year, and I'm trying to pull pictures from the whole year to see how I like doing that. We'll see how that goes. I'm so used to themes for, I don't know, how long have I been scrapbooking? Since 1997, so almost 30 years I've been scrapbooking, 7, 8, something like that. Anyways, almost 30 years I've been a scrapbooker, and that's how I started in paper crafting. And so I'm just giving it a whirl again and checking out a different option. I do love my themed albums, but maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll see how this chronological album goes. All right, and speaking of albums, though, we are going to switch back into the Paper Pumpkin kit, although I will be doing a scrapbook page with this kit. I've actually ordered a refill because I'm like, there's just not enough stuff. I want to do more. So I have 2 cards for you today. You get your box. It's all inclusive. All you need is a pair of scissors. Everything else is in the box that you need. When it comes to your mailbox each month, you don't have to think about it. You can either do a prepaid subscription for 3, 6, or 12 months, or you can do a month to month. Either way, it's $29 a month, and the value for it is amazing. You won't find a kit like this with this kind of value for that amount of money. So even though the prices go up periodically, it's still worth every penny. So you get your no-fail instructions, which is great because you just follow the pictures, follow the arrows, and you can put the cards together as designed. They now have changed this to where it's smaller so that it will fit into one of the new envelopes that we get our stamps in, and then you'll be able to store it that way instead of worrying about other ways of storing it. There's so many different possibilities and ways to store it. I know Rachel Tessman uses the little 6x8 binder that we have. That's a scrapbook, but she uses it for her stamps. I've tried that. I started that way, but I found I didn't often go back for stamps unless it was like Halloween, something where I didn't have a regular stamp set for it. So, but I do like some of the font on here, and I like some of the cattails and the birds, so I can see myself possibly using this one. Again, I love the cattails and the birds, although I think we may have that in the coordinating stamp set and dies that go with this. So here we have it. I love the older, wiser, better. You are a lifesaver. You are an inspiration. Thanks. Happy birthday. Happy Father's Day. And then we have dad and son. Although you can give this to women. I love these cards. I would be very happy getting one of these cards. All right, you get a block in your first kit, you get a stamp set in your kit, and you get a ink spot. Sometimes you get 2 ink spots, sometimes you get 2 stamp sets. It just depends on the month. I'm going to bring in my regular one. This is Peaceful Pine. It is one of the new in colors that will be available to customers next week, May 5th already. I can't believe it's already there or almost here. And so this is the new style. All right, it's magnetic. You can hear it like that. And what I do is I just slip it together like this. That way I don't misplace the lid. Some people just keep it open like a book, but that takes up more space. So I like to do it like this. And you can see it doesn't fall out. I even did that over my card. That's pretty, I was pretty confident about that. So the cards as designed were made last week. So here we go. You are an inspiration. Happy Father's Day. Older, wiser, better. Happy birthday. And you are a lifesaver. Thanks, Dad. All right. And we have the little life jacket here. Super cute. All right, so those are the cards as designed in the kit. Then what I do now for the rest of the time until we get our next kit, which our next kit is this one, Sparkling Celebrations. And it will create, again, 9 cards, 3 each of 3 designs with coordinating envelopes, pre-cut paper pieces with silver foil, gem embellishments, and you can see the paper lanterns. You see them a little bit more nowadays. Looks like a window card. This is going to be some fun. Looking forward to it. So make sure you subscribe before May 10th. I had to think a minute. Before May 10th. If you don't subscribe before May 10th, then you will be out of luck. And then the one after that is this one. Bikes and blooms. Bikes are trendy, and I'm actually working on getting my bike fixed up again so I can go bike riding because we now are in a neighborhood where I can. And then we also have the dies. This was first quarter dies. They are sold out. This is second quarter dies, and this is what it makes. It gives you a bunch of little stars, which I did not glue on here. Maybe I should have, but they're very, very small. You can see, but it gives that look of the sparkling, and I'm guessing that's going to go, I'm not sure why I have a frog in my throat this morning. That's probably going to go with this Sparkling Celebrations is my guess, is we have then the fireworks. We also have Wonderful, we have the flowers, and we have, this is one die that makes the flowers attached, and then we have a die that cuts out the 3 different butterflies that are not attached, and then this wonderful sign, which I just wrote inside. So it cuts this out, and then you can do it in other colors and get that. So super fun dies. Check them out. I did not double check before I got on as to whether they were still available, but I'm pretty sure they are. Excuse me. Hello. Let's see. Mylene. Hello, Mylene. Welcome. I don't know why I have such a froggy throat this morning. All right, so here's my chipboard. You can see I use it for stamping. And then I have my cards here that we're going to work on today. All right, it comes with the adhesives that you need. We have our cute little stone embellishments, which I don't think I even used on my alternate cards. We'll keep those out and let's dive in. So the first card I have for you, I cut up an envelope, and what I wanted to tell you is when you cut up an envelope, because they are so beautiful. Did I show you the envelopes? Look, the envelopes, they're just like DSP, designer series paper. All right, so I just cut that up. So what I do is I just cut off 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch. So I just push the end of the envelope all the way over to this line over here, and then I cut it off, and that way I have my different parts and pieces. We'll leave this over here. Wow, I do not know. Where's my card base? What did I do with my card base? I thought I had a card base here for this card. Did I stick it in the wrong one? Hang on. I know I've got one. Well, I don't know where it went. Here we go. We'll try again. So I have a card base. I'll find it eventually. Oh, no, that's already scored. Let's see. Let's get one that's not scored. So this is 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to fold it in half so that it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, and I like to burnish or crease both sides so that you have it. All right, and then we have here these pieces. This was one of the card bases, and I cut it in half so that I could use it. And then this was also, actually, it was this card, comes from this card here, but we're going to be cutting this down. Let me find, where's my measurements? Here we go. We're going to be cutting this blue one to 5 by 3 1/8. So we're going to cut off here, or 3 3/8, excuse me. And so 5 by 3 3/8 is 1, 2, 3 right here. I'm going to cut off that strip. And so then we have this at 5 by 3 3/8. It's going to get centered here. And then the envelope, we're going to cut it into 2 pieces that are 1 3/4 by 1 1/2. All right, and I've got this part here, so I can just tear that part off. Maybe sometimes. Here we go. We'll just tear that part off. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so now we're going to cut. I want a straight line here, so we're going to just cut that end off. And then I need it at 1 1/2. by 1 3/4. So like that. And then this one will be just too short. All right, so then this one, let's see, we're gonna do at 1.5. And I want to get some of this other color in here. So I want to straighten that line. Take that out and then do 1 3/4. All right, and then I still have more to make other ones. Let's make sure those are the same. Yep. All right, then we're going to take our blue stripe paper, and we need 2 pieces at 1.5 by 2 3/4. So I want the 1.5 to be this direction, and 1.5. All right, and then I can put these two together and cut them at 2 3/4, like that. And then I have some other squares as well to do more with, and you will see those in the future. The ideas have been rolling right along. All right. Oh, here's my card base. It was under there. It was under the trimmer. Okay, so no surprise there. All right, so we're going to line this up. Where's my card? There we go. All right, I'm looking at the one that I made, my little prototype. All right, here we go. So this is going to go like this and like this. And this card, this is from a sketch that my team member Missy did for us. I don't remember which month it was, but in our Facebook group, she does the monthly challenges, and I am behind, so I'm working on catching up, and I thought this was a great one for using with this. So I'll show you the sketch. This is the sketch right here that I am working on. All right, so we have these 2 squares you can see here, and then these 2 pieces right here. And they're not perfectly square, but you know, a sketch, you don't have to follow it exactly. So I usually change it up just a little bit as long as the idea is there. So then what we're going to do is for our length, for the one that goes this way, I'm using these oars because I thought they were super cool. All right, let's do some stamping though before we glue anything down. We're going to stamp on this, and we're going to stamp on these. All right, so this one kind of looks like sky, so I wanted to throw those birds in there because I like the birds a lot. All right, so let's do that. Here we go, and we're going to go ahead and use our Peaceful Pine. And just make sure, yep. So we'll put our birds there. All right, and then we're also going to do this top corner with the birds. I kind of over stamped, I think, so I want to just check it out and maybe not stamp as much as I did last night and see what it looks like. We can always add it in because we won't glue it down until we have it. And then this one, the cattails, I did over here. All right, on that. And then on here, I did the happy birthday. Need my blocks. I put a bunch more blocks over here because of doing the scrapbooking retreat. The what is it? Virtual album retreat. So it's a virtual retreat for scrapbooking. that's essentially what it is. And then I took the Older, Wiser, Better, because I really like it. And we're going to stamp on here. Now, on my other one, I kind of lined it up and got, and it wasn't random, and decided that today I'm going to be a little more random with it. We're going to go with the smaller one. I'm going to be a little more random with it, but we are stamping in the white, not in the green, not on the blue. Here we go. So I'm going to ink and stamp. And then, yeah, maybe this is why it was harder to be random. There's only so much space. Right, and oh, on the other one I didn't have the white top and bottom. I think we're going to leave that. And then I think this one we're going to go over here and then go in the middle. And then okay, random's a little bit more challenging. All right. Maybe it was better to just keep it uniformed, and now I feel like I really have to do this one. Maybe I should have done it where it was like off the page. That might have been a better way to try and get the random. That's something I'll have to play with, but not this morning. All right, so now let's go ahead and lay it out and see how it looks. So, and I'll show you the other cards so we can compare. Do we want more birds and cattails, or the two are plenty? So we're going to do this. Actually, you know what? I'm even going to switch it up, I think, and do it this way. We'll see if we have a like it better. Here we go. There we go. And then these two will go right here. And it's okay that it's covering up the words. All right, so here's the original that I made. So you can see it's pretty lined up, staggered back and forth the same. I should have done it opposite. Of course, you know, once you stamp, you're like, oh, I should have done that. So here we go. We have the 4 corners with those stamps, but here we only have the 2. I kind of like just the 2 instead of all 4 corners. And then, do we like it better? Let's see. Do we like it better? I think I like this over on this side versus this way. So I think I'm going to go back to, let me know what you think. But I think I am going to go back to this side of things. There we go. Man, do you ever get a song stuck in your head, and even though you're talking and you're doing other things, it's like that song's playing in the background? That's what's happening to me right now. I heard a song this morning that's very uplifting, and it's just really messing with my head. It's not even Monday. I have no excuses other than I didn't go to bed at my regular bedtime last night. And then the cat made sure, Benji made sure I was up because she wanted food. So I'm going to take some linen thread because this kit really screams linen thread. All right. And I doubled it, so I'm going to fold this in half like this. Kind of straighten it. Make this loop, this end really short, because I found that's the best way to get a more even bow. Because once you do all this and you pull it through, Ooh, I may actually have been spot on with that, or pretty darn close. Usually it takes me a couple times, but I guess I tied it enough last night that, oh, wow, look at that. Look at that, spot on. That folks, that does not happen the first time out. And I think I'm going to leave this one actually a little longer like that. All right, so let's glue some things down. I used dimensionals on my oars, but I did glue everything else flat down. You could also emboss it. I had thought about that, but I didn't bring all the embossing stuff over. So we're going to just glue it down flat. You know, if this was for, if I were to give this to a girl, but see, I would never tell a girl older, wiser, better, because, you know, we just don't tell our girlfriends that. Depending on the girlfriend, I suppose. You might have a friend you could do that with. All right, this is stuck in there. All right. So this is one that I would probably give to a guy. So we're going to center this top, bottom, side to side. You can see that the top and bottom are wider than the side to side, as per, oh, I guess this was no, this is still wider than this here. So I did that. And then I'm going to put glue on this one and glue on this one, and discovered last night it's best to lay them down at the same time. That way you can get the spacing just right. There we go. I'm not going to smush that down quite yet. The beauty of liquid glue is it gives you a little bit of time to wiggle things out. So I'm going to make sure my ends are lined up. This one is a little low. All right, there we go. All right. There we go. All right, and then what we're going to do is take these oars. Now, because we're crossing them over, one of them you want to keep this open, and the other one you want to put a dimensional on. So we're going to use, here we go. I have some leftovers, so I'm going to use some of that, because I like to use everything on my dimensional sheet. All right, and is that too big? That is too big. So we're going to trim that in half for those handles. Like that. Like that. And then we need a skinny, couple skinnies on one oar, but not the other, remember, because we're overlapping. So one of them can't have it, otherwise they will be all wonky. All right, so now we're going to take the paper off. There we go. So both handles, both paddle parts, but not this part here. So that way we can lay this over like that, and it will not be misshapen. All right, it'll lay flat, and then we need a glue dot and our take your pick tool, and we're going to just put that there where they cross over. Pop that dot off. I like to roll it up just a little bit and then place this on there. All right, looks like some rope that we wrapped some rope around it. All right, speaking of rope, there is a rope thing here, but it's not quite long enough, and I'm not up for trying to make it match. Oh, looks like my blade might need to be done. So there we go. There is card 1. And on the inside, yes, I did. On the inside, I stamped my cattails again. And this time I inked once and then moved it over and stamped twice. Gives it that little bit of shadow. And then my birds, where are my birds? There they are. My birds over here. All right, so there is card 1, using only what's in the kit, other than, I guess not using only. Okay, so the only thing I added that wasn't in the kit is I added the linen thread, which you probably have tons of leftovers from your past ones. Good afternoon, Lala Crafts. Nice to have you on here, Phyllis. So you probably have leftover linen thread from other kits because they're in kits a lot. And then white card bases. You just cut a piece of 8.5 by 11 basic white thick in half, 4 1/4 by 11, and you've got your card base. So there you go. That is card 1. Let's do card 2. All right, so I've got all this, and we've got this is my card base. It is Misty Moonlight. We're gonna fold that in half, and this is a bit of a fun fold, one that I haven't done in quite a while, so I was like, oh yeah, let's do this. This will be perfect for this one. So, and then what we're going to do, don't panic, we're going to cut this apart. All right, so let me get my, I was really good last night. I was cutting all my instructions and everything. So, all right, so we have here the DSP. We're going to call this DSP. We're using the plaid side. We're cutting it to 4 1/8. And yes, I will use this other side for something, just not today. 4 1/8. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut off 1 1/8. All right, and keep it in order, 1 1/8. And then I got to flip this around because now I'm using this side, 2 7/8. And then it goes like this. And then this one will be back to 1 1/8. So I'm flipping that back over. You're basically keeping it in line. And then I have this little extra piece. All right. So we're keeping it in line. Am I done cutting? I think I'm done cutting. All right. So we're keeping it in line like this. All right. Oh, no, I'm not done cutting. I got to do the card front. All right. So now we're going to turn this around, and we're going to cut from this end to the score line at 1 1/4. Here we go. To the score line. All right. And then I got to do this side, so I like to turn it around because I find it easier to use this. And so I'm going to cut from the bottom up. I don't often cut from the bottom up, but sometimes it's a necessary thing. All right, so now you have these 3 pieces. And you may have seen this card before. I don't know what it's called. I really couldn't tell you, but this is going to go here. Ooh, I did cut that at 1/8. Those are pretty tight. And this one will go over here. And then this one will go in the middle like that. All right, so let's go ahead and glue those down. But first we have to glue these sides down. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put glue on these flaps. and then lay it back down right next to that. And then we want to put glue on this one. And lay it right next down. There we go. So the only one that's going to pop up is this one. All right, we want the middle to pop up. We don't want the sides to pop up. All right, so we're going to glue this one on that side. I don't know why I'm doing this on the counter. I usually do it in my hand. I'm not sure. All right, and this is just going to be a 1/8. Ooh, I'm pretty sure I cut that at 4 1/8. It's pretty tight. You could trim it off a little bit more if you wanted to. I'm okay with the smaller border. Make sure you're keeping it in the right direction. All right, here we go. And then this one will go here in the middle. And then it looks almost seamless, except it won't be seamless. Let's get a little bit more glue over here. There we go. All right. Love the kit, right? Aren't the paper pumpkin kits so amazing? Oh my gosh. They just keep getting better and better and outdoing themselves. Sometimes it's hard to come up with alternates because they're just so pretty as designed that I struggle. So, but not with this kit. When they have the double-sided back card bases, it just makes it so much easier to come up with ideas because you can use the backs of them. And then there's so much, and then you just add your card base. So then I have this piece here, and this will go inside. And I did leave it with a little bit more of a border. I cut the 1/4 inch border instead of the 1/8 inch border. Come on. Here we go. And that's just a piece of basic white cardstock. All right, now on the front, you will see I cut my circles. Yes, I did. I cut them. Scary as it is, you can see here on this one that the house is perfectly aligned to where you can cut right down the middle of it and it still looks like a complete house essentially. So that's what I did, and I'll show you my other card in just a moment. All right, this one is going to line up with the edge, and I did not cut them at the same time, but I did cut them in half. So we're going to go ahead and glue this onto our pecan pie circle. And this time I like to lay it down for gluing. All right, there we go. And this is going to go right here to this outside edge of the DSP part of the plaid paper, not the edge of the card, okay? So we have that, so we're gonna put it here like that. And then we need to do some stamping. We have our little life vest. And you can see I'm using up some stuff where I don't have extra anymore. So that's why I ordered a refill kit, because I was like, oh wait, I'm not done creating with all of this. All right, so we're gonna turn it this way. You can see it was kind of misprinted a little bit, and this barely has a border and this has more of one. So I'm gonna do this side. Oh no, I wanna do it this way because this is going to be covering that. So I'm going to stamp it over towards the right. So this is kind of a twin card because one half is on one card, one half is on the other card, but it's basically the same design. So what did I do on the inside? On the inside, so I used the wrong one. It's not older, wiser, better. It's you are a lifesaver. Where's my stamps? You are a lifesaver. That's what we wanted. So luckily, we still have, in the box, we still have one more. See, this is why I ordered the refill. So, Phyllis, do you do alternates or do you just make the cards as designed? Like I said, sometimes I would just want to make the cards as designed. But then what would I do with you for all the rest of the weeks? So that's why I make the alternates. I suppose there are the edging. Here we go. I always use the edges. I use every part. The thing that goes in the garbage is the backing and this part. So now we're going to put this all the way up to that DSP edge, centered top to bottom. There we go, like that. And then on the back of this one, we're going to do a dimensional as well. And I want it on this side because this side will be overlapping onto there. So then I can just do a little dab of glue there. Like that. I like the reflections in the water, so I brought it down a little lower. And then this is going to go over here. And it will hang off just a little bit, but that's okay. I still don't know why I have such a froggy voice today. How funny is that? All right, so we're going to put one of these here, and we're going to put this one up here. We don't want to put it too low because it's going to be going onto that sentiment piece, like that. But we also want to make sure that's not showing, ooh, I just barely got that. All right, and then I decide to go ahead. Here's my other one. Bow or no bow? I kind of like the bow. It just adds a little bit to it. And it doesn't matter if it's boy or girl because it's rope. It looks like rope. It looks like what you might use if you're doing outdoor things. So again, you want to have this side shorter when you make your loop for your bow, and then you want to bring it around. Actually, I usually bring it from the back to the front, and that helps me make an upright bow. If you have a hard time with bows, there are many tools out there, many little hacks. I have some people who use a fork. One of my demonstrators, the person who introduced me to Stampin' Up, she just taught me how to do the bow, and I've just not had any major issues with bows since. So, but I always bring it from the back forward. All right. These are not lined up. There we go. And I want it small, so that's why I'm working it. I want it tight, and then I'm just going to cut off this extra stuff. So, oh, that one's still too long. All right, and then we're just kind of stick it partially under there. The best way I have found is to use a glue dot from one of my past kits. Take off that top, roll it up, and then stick that there. All right, you can even kind of shove it under if you want, or you can have one side up, one side under, however you want to do it. I don't think I like it shoved under. All right, so there are my twin cards. Okay, so you are a lifesaver. And this almost looks like it's a bigger half, but it worked because, like I said, I didn't even cut the circles together. I just cut one circle and then the other circle. So this one almost looks bigger. I don't know. It probably is not. And then we have the thanks on the inside. So there you go. So here are the two alternate cards for today. Where'd my other one go? Here we go. All right. So I trust you enjoyed it. I trust you play with these. You could even do this one on like the wood one and glue it down and not have to bring in extra bases. Same with this one. Both of these would go great on the wood card base that we have. All right, they would be going this way, and then you could still cut this and glue it down if you wanted to. So it would totally work if you didn't have other cardstock. You could still do some different things with what you have in the kit. All right, so, and of course, you don't have to have the linen thread. If you have any left over from past kits, that's great. Little of both, Phyllis. All right. You need to order a refill? Yes. I did. I was like, oh man, I really need a refill for this. So here you can see I did a wider border, and here I did a thinner border. I kind of like the thinner border better, but it just depends on what you like. So I can put the measurements in the comments if you want for what I cut down. Happy to do that for you. And I wish you a great rest of your day. Before we go, let me just let you know there's a flash sale, 24 hours on May 2nd. That's Saturday only. It's for celebrating National Scrapbooking Day. You get 20% off select memory keeping products. I don't know which ones, but if it has to do with scrapbooking specifically, it will probably be 20% off. So it's a great time. Okay, Phyllis, I'll put the measurements in there. It's a great time to check it out. Saturday only though. So like from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. It's a 24-hour sale. Thanks, Phyllis. Take care. Be safe. We have the online exclusives, the new Winnie the Pooh set, as well as some of these other sets going on sale on Monday, not on sale, going live for customers on Tuesday, May 5th. And then we also, Tuesday, May 5th, a new starter kit offer is coming along where you can get all the in colors, all of these in the new stamp pad for free as part of your kit. So you pay the $99, you get $125 worth of product, plus all 5 of the new stamp pads, or you can choose to get another $35 worth of product. It'll be your choice to figure out which one works better for you. I will run the numbers to see what kind of a deal. I don't remember off the top of my head what this set costs. I think it might be more than the $35, so then this would be your better deal. All right, and then we have a new craft class coming called Paper Mixer, and I will show you more about that. Here are the paper patterns that we'll be using for this class, and we'll be making different cards. Does it say how many? It doesn't say how many cards, and I can't remember how many we made for the last one, but more information will be coming up on that. The craft class is May 21st, and I think you can already start signing up for it by purchasing the class, and then you would need to purchase the products that go with it, or use your own products and just make the cards the way they design it. So have a great rest of your Thursday. Mom gets her cast off today. Woohoo! We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully all is well and all is mended. I will be back here next Tuesday at the latest. Could be sooner. And we will do some more with that scrapbook kit that I showed you on Tuesday. I've got it all broken apart and put together, so we'll start working on that again. All right, see you. Have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend. Bye-bye.